I want to tell you about a buyer I worked with not too long ago. Brand new duplex. Everything looked great. They skipped the formal inspection. Figured it was new. Figured the warranty would cover it. Figured they'd deal with things after. And after closing, things started showing up. Not one big disaster, but a slow drip of issues. Every time we went to the developer, the answer was the same. It's normal. Over and over again, that's normal. And when you hear this enough times, you realize the burden has flipped. Now you're the one documenting, gathering evidence, following up, escalating, while also trying to enjoy the home that you just spent a lot of money on. We did get most of it resolved, but it was slower, more frustrating, and way more work than it needed to be. That's exactly what I'm trying to help you avoid today, because it's rarely one mistake that hurts duplex buyers. It's 2 or 3 stacked on top of each other. And once you're in it, you're dealing with it after the fact, it's a mess. I'm Chris Carr, local Vancouver realtor. This channel is for buyers and sellers who want straight answers, not buzzwords. So with all that out of the way, let's get into it. First mistake when buying a townhome is not checking the neighbor situation. This sounds obvious, but buyers skip it anyway. They walk in, they like the finishes, they see themselves living there, and they stop thinking. Here's the truth about duplexes. Your neighbor isn't just your neighbor. They're your co-owner in real life. You share a building, you share a structure, sometimes you share systems, and you always share decisions. Picture this. Something needs fixing. The roof, drainage, something structural, something insurance related. And you need an agreement from the other side just to move forward. If they're reasonable, it's annoying but workable. If the relationship is difficult, now it's a whole other situation. So before you fall in love with a duplex, you want to know what you're walking into. How's their side maintained? Is there pride of ownership? Or is it just an afterthought? Do they seem like the kind of people who communicate well? Or does everything become a negotiation? You can ask the listing agent basic questions. And if you're serious, just knock on the door and introduce yourself. You're not asking for their life story. You're just getting a read on the person. You're about to share a building with them for years. So what's holding you back? Because if it's the wrong dynamic, it gets expensive fast. Second mistake I see is skipping the inspection. This one I opened with, so you already know where it goes. But let me add one layer on. People skip inspections on duplexes for 2 reasons. 1, they assume new means fine. 2, they're trying to move fast and compete. Both are risky. A duplex has a lot of systems: roof, drainage, building envelope, waterproofing, HVAC, windows, doors, and build quality can swing wildly, even on brand new construction. The difference between going in with a professional inspection report versus one is not small. With one, you have documented findings, professional language, and a clear list. When you go to a developer with that, it carries weight. It's not, my friend thinks this is weird. It's, here's a professional finding. Here's the standard. Here's the list. Without one, you're starting from zero after closing when everyone's replies slow down. And the default answer is, well, that's normal. And if timing is tight and a full inspection isn't possible, at a minimum, bring in the right person before you remove subjects. Don't treat it as something you sort out casually after you own it. That's just backwards. The third mistake I see is ignoring the land component. Buyers obsess over interior square footage, and I get it. It's the easiest thing to compare. But in Vancouver, long-term value is heavily tied to land. Even buying a half duplex means you're buying an interest in land. So you want to understand the lot size, how it's divided, and what you actually control. Here's the simplest way to think about it. Interiors change, kitchens change, bathrooms change, flooring changes, land doesn't. 2 duplexes can feel almost identical inside, but one sits on a meaningful, better land situation. And long-term, those are not the same purchase. When you're comparing options, don't just count square footage. What's the lot size? What's the outdoor space? What's the practical use? What are you actually buying? The fourth mistake, not understanding the style of duplex you're buying. There are a few types that you run into: side by side, front and back, and occasionally top and bottom. This matters more than people think because it directly affects privacy, noise, yard use, parking, how attached the whole thing feels day to day. On narrower lots, front and back duplexes can work well because it creates more natural separation. On wider lots, side by side can feel closer to a traditional house experience. Both have trade offs. Front and back can mean shared pathways and a shared driveway arrangements, access points you didn't fully think through. Side by side can mean a longer shared wall, and depending on build quality and insulation, you'll feel it. So don't just buy finishes. Think about how the home actually lives. Where's the entrance? Where's the parking? How do you use the outdoor space? How does this work on Tuesday evening when everybody's home? The type of duplex changes the day-to-day lifestyle more than most buyers expect before they live in it. The fifth mistake I see, not understanding ownership structure. This is one that surprises people the most. Most Vancouver duplexes are set up as strata. Yes, even though it doesn't feel like a condo at all. And here's what most buyers miss. A lot of duplex stratas are pretty informal in how they run day to day. Sometimes there are no formal meetings, no minutes, and thin record keeping. Sometimes there isn't a clear process for how decisions get made until there's a problem. That doesn't automatically mean don't buy, but it does mean you need to understand what you're walking into. Because strata just isn't a fee. Strata is a legal framework. It's rules, it's obligations, it's how disputes get handled. And in a 2-unit strata, it's basically you and the neighbor. So you want to know, are there documents? Is there any history? How are costs split? What happens when there's a disagreement and nobody backs down? Because a bad duplex situation can go sideways fast if the relationship is tense and the paperwork is weak. If you argue with someone over a fence line, imagine arguing with them over shared insurance, shared exterior maintenance, and shared decisions with no agreed upon process. It matters a lot. Sixth mistake, missing the hidden costs. With duplexes, there are usually no standard monthly strata fee. So buyers assume costs are low, but shared expenses still exist and still show up. Insurance is a big one. Drainage and perimeter work, exterior maintenance, the roof, shared fences, shared walkways, shared driveways, sometimes shared mechanical systems. And you want to understand how all of that gets split and what process exists to make the call. Because duplex ownership can feel cheap right up until the first major shared expense lands. And that's exactly when you find out how cooperative the other side actually is. When you're running your numbers, don't stop at mortgage and property tax. Think about what it costs to maintain and insure the whole asset. And think about what it looks like when that joint decision has to be made jointly. Seventh mistake, getting fixated on square footage alone. Square footage is a filter. It's not a final answer. I've watched buyers pass on generally great homes because one measured 80 square feet smaller and then chase a number into another place that just never felt right. A well laid out 1,450 square foot duplex will live bigger than a choppy, poorly configured 1,600 square foot duplex. Light matters. Layouts matter. Where stairs eat your space matters. Window placement, ceiling height, storage, it all adds up. So use square footage to filter your search. But when you're standing in the home, pay attention to how it actually feels, because you're not buying the number, you're buying how you live in it. Now the eighth mistake, getting distracted by staging and surface finishes. That new home energy, it's real. And developers know it. Buyers walk into a beautifully staged duplex. Everything is perfect, and they stop asking important questions. Is the layout functional for how we actually live? Is the location right? What's the build quality underneath the finishes? What's the neighbor situation? What does the ownership structure look like? Because you can change paint, you can change counters, you can change floors, you can change and fix cosmetic issues. What you can't easily fix is a bad layout, a bad structure, and a bad legal setup. So when you walk into a duplex that looks perfect, that's actually the moment to slow down. Start asking the boring questions. The boring questions are the ones that protect you. The ninth mistake, never benchmarking against a townhouse. Some buyers are set on a duplex only. Fine, but you still want to compare it to townhomes to keep your thinking honest. Because here's the real trade off: a well run townhouse strata gives you clear shared maintenance, a proper contingency plan, professional management, and a lot less back and forth with one neighbor. A duplex gives you land exposure, more independence, and upside that most townhomes can't match in Vancouver. Both can be the right answer, but you want to choose based on lifestyle and math, not just because one feels more like a house. When you run that comparison honestly, you'll know which one actually fits your life. Duplexes can be a really smart move in Vancouver, but they're not just a small detached house. They're a fundamentally different kind of ownership, and the details matter more than they do in most purchases. If you're thinking about buying one and you want someone to pressure test the details before you remove conditions and sign off, I'm happy to help. The link to book a call is below. No pitch, just a straight conversation about whether what you're looking at actually makes sense. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.